Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 98 of now called Simply Football Podcast. Um, Patrick came up with a name, just like throwing that responsibility right to him. Just um, anyway, so before I get started, obviously, hi, I'm your host Peter. I wanted to get you guys into something new, which will be every Friday. I think after the World Cup. So after the World Cup ends, me and Patrick are gonna go over some just rumors and news snippets that we want to get into for about I don't know 20 minutes or so. So you guys have that looking forward to on Fridays. So that's something new. Anyway, with that said, I've already introduced myself. I'll do it again, though. I'm your host, Peter, joined by Patrick.
Hello.
Uh, kind of surprise appearance by Bruno because I wasn't expecting him to come on, so I didn't advertise him. But there you go, Bruno.
That's right, you haters. I know you, Kevin, out there listening. Twitterless Bruno is here. And yes, he's ready, prepared to call you out on your BS too.
Oi, chill. Take a chill pill. And for the first time ever, our guest, Daniel.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. It's gonna be fun. So we're gonna waste, I don't know, well, not waste, but spend about roughly 15 minutes or so going over this Sporting situation. Um, well, I'm not even sure where to get started, but I mean, okay, I guess we could go what we were saying off the air, where I said that there was no way that the players would lose the court case, where Bruno completely disagreed on that.
Do you want me to go start with my rebuttal or do you want to go?
No, you can go first.
I mean, I honestly think that there's no way that this, if this goes forward in favor of the players, this is going to create a major problem in professional soccer all across the world. When someone feels uptight, they go and they rescind their contract. It doesn't have to do with personal or physical threats. It could be anything. All of a sudden, they don't feel whatever, and all of a sudden, they're going to just rescind their contract. And then what? You're going to think that the clubs are just going to be there watching players walk out that are worth millions of dollars to their or euros or whatever, millions and millions and millions of dollars to their clubs. I don't see how the courts would ever rule in favor of a player that way, because anybody could do anything possible to get out of their contract to go sign with somebody else. Very similar to what happened to the Bosman law, which ruined soccer, by the way, for all you people that are not very familiar with the Bosman law. The Bosman law is what ruined soccer that we know today. So, I mean, if you want to go down that road, that is going to create major problems. There's no way that's going to happen. No way.
All right, so here's what I think about this whole situation. I don't think that there's no way that the players aren't winning the court case simply because of the fact that they have, or, you know, if they have the necessary proof and evidence that Sporting didn't give them enough security, that's enough for them to win this case. And what Bruno is saying, in my opinion, is ridiculous, just like how Bruno Carvalho mentioned it a couple of days ago. And I was like, is this still insane? Because I personally believe that, first of all, players are extremely or usually very professional. And even if they wanted an out, they would usually wait until the club got a better offer. Because let's face it, most of the players actually have good relationship with the club that they're in, so they want the clubs to get compensated as well. So I don't, and second of all, I don't believe that any player would call up random thugs or whatever or friends and say, "Hey, you guys go into our training ground and roughing us up, harass us." I don't know, to what Sporting did. I don't see any player using that as an out. I think that's extremely ridiculous to even believe in, because I think that they are way above that. That's just how I see this whole thing, honestly.
Uh, Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Obviously, this is a very new thing. I think I can't remember anything like this happening in football, where a team is obviously at risk of losing potentially all of its players if they all wanted to do what Patricio and William and those lot did by putting in requests to terminate their contract. I say request because. We may say that the contracts are terminated, but really, as I said, because it's a new thing, I can't honestly say what way it's going to go or what the outcome is going to be. I don't know whether the claims, for example, in Rui Patricio's case, whether that's enough for him to get out of his contract or not. And I do agree a bit with what Bruno says because it's true. Whatever happens officially in court, whatever comes out of this case, it will have massive repercussions for football in general. And obviously, this isn't if we're talking about players that aren't on the best of terms with fans. This isn't the first situation. We see, for example, situations that I hate to isolate Napoli here, but for example, Napoli, where a lot of the times certain players want to leave the club and all of a sudden their house gets vandalised and all that. And I know it's happened in the Premier League as well, houses getting burgled and stuff like that.
Okay, Patrick, but I mean, sorry to cut you off, but you think it's going to get to that Sporting level, though? Do you because you're saying like,
what's the difference, Peter?
The only difference,
but I don't see it because I don't think that.
No,
that
hang on. The only difference between, for example, what happens in Napoli or what happens in Liverpool or in Manchester or stuff of that origin is that Sporting's happened on Sporting's territory in their training complex. That's the only difference. But
and what I know, I don't remember
people
getting beat up too, because players got beat up.
They didn't, but their houses got vandalised, and had they been there at the time, perhaps they would have got beaten up. I'm sure there is a player out there that has been roughed up by fans before. But just because the location is different doesn't mean that.
I mean, but the location matters in the whole thing, though.
Like
no. Listen, though. No, you're wrong because you can't. Because the thing is that you can't pinpoint on the club saying, "Hey, my house got vandalized." I mean, what is the club gonna do? Like,
yeah, but if you want to go down the route of, oh, I'm a player and I feel unsafe, sure, you can link. Oh, my house got burgled because I want to leave the club, and maybe the president doesn't want to let me leave, and we have this to and fro going on.
Right, but that would never hold up in court.
Yeah, but
how so?
What I'm saying is, for example, I'm trying to think, and for me, I still hold on a bit to the player. Any player that wants to leave Sporting I think they will have to prove that the club was directly linked or at fault for what happened, basically.
By the way, with what I know is that the judge has said that Bruno Carvalho is at fault for attack. At least he has some fault in it because of all of his incendiary comments, which I believe
there are volumes. There are volumes of fault, and we'll see whether it's enough.
I'm just saying.
So I'll go back to the start. It's a new thing. I really don't know what way this story is going to swing, but just to focus on move on a bit onto the players. I just want to say, obviously, because it is we have created a war here between players and president and everyone that's around it, trying to oust the president and move in themselves. I've spoken on the pod before, and I've said how Bruno Carvalho was wrong to say the stuff that he did, and certainly the way he's conducted things, he's kept digging, and put his stamp on this war. But on the flip side, I am also very disappointed with the players, particularly because what we're looking at are Rui Patricio, William, Bruno Fernandes, Gelson. These are all players that have concrete interest from other clubs. So,
I mean, not according to your president.
Well, you may say that, but there's definitely interest. We know Wolves and Napoli were interested in.
Patrick, could you stop there? Why did he not sign with? Why did he not sign with Napoli?
Wait, he didn't sign with Napoli because I believe Napoli didn't want to pay as much as Sporting would have liked, and
so they offered 18 million, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's just say then he became free, so they had a chance to sign him for free. Correct?
They do. Yeah.
Okay, they can sign him from free right now, right? My question to you is, why don't they sign him for free? What is the holdup? They were interested in the guy.
Obviously,
why are you going that route? Okay, I would have.
I'm going to go that route because I'm going to explain to you why that's not going to happen.
Because I know what you're going to say. But first,
well, can I say it? Can I say it? Hold on. You know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say, but the listeners don't know what I'm going to say. Hold on. The listeners don't know what I'm going to say.
No, but let me just.
No, they don't know.
Why don't you ask Patrick? Why didn't knowing what the players intended to do? Why didn't Bruno Carvalho just sell the player for the 18 million instead of having him be released?
Because his 7 million would have to go to Jorge Mendes.
But did
you not forget that?
That's their problem. It's
what do you mean that's their problem? All right, so you sell Ruben Diaz. You sell Ruben Diaz to Manchester United, and all of a sudden the guy also says, "Oh yeah, by the way, you owe me 10 million euros."
Wrong.
What?
Wrong, because that money is being paid to Jorge Mendes because of Adrian and another player re-signing with Sporting.
Okay, and did you forget that? Hold on, Peter, because Peter, you like to leave things out. You like to leave important details out.
It's what I hear. It's what I hear. I'm not saying anything that I didn't.
Okay, but I'm educating you on the problem. The problem is that the deals that were remade with Bruno Carvalho cut out all those guys. This is the reason why there's a rift at Sporting, is because Bruno Carvalho is cutting out all these guys that were supposed to get percentages of all those guys, and now those behind the scene guys that were supposed to get these cuts on Sporting are no longer seeing that money, and they're making a big problem.
What doing illegal because he's not obeying contracts. That's what you're saying, right? What he's doing is illegal.
He renewed a lot of the contracts, and when he renewed the contracts, he left all those guys out, and that's why they're pissed off.
That's so bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
There was a stage where Bruno Carvalho was renewing contracts, and as he was doing, he was buying.
Now,
Calm down. What I'm saying is that there's no interest in something that no. Listen,
because for example, I think Adrian was.
I'm sorry.
I think Sporting. There was a stage before Bruno Carvalho arrived. There was a stage where only 40% of Adrian's value actually belonged to Sporting, and lots of other players as well.
I remember
as the contracts were renewed, Sporting were buying their a bigger percentage, so they would rise up to 80 or 90. Like João Mario was one, and the same happened. And obviously there was a time as well where Adrian he left Jorge Mendes and then hired Pini Zahavi to be his agent. So we don't know if there's any cash spare, but obviously, if Jorge Mendes brings this up like right now at such a delicate situation,
because
it's a bit malicious, isn't it?
But you did read what was said, right? What was said is that Sporting would pay that 7 million off their next transfer.
Where'd you read this?
Technically, didn't you read that on the thing from Jorge Mendes?
The interesting thing is here that if Jorge Mendes is owed money, then if Jorge Mendes is owed money for Adrian, then where was he when Adrian signed for Leicester City?
Exactly.
Why didn't he claim the money then? That's
probably listen. You're saying that. I personally believe that Bruno Carvalho asked him for another 6 months before he could pay off the money.
Now you're assuming. Now you're assuming and speculating.
And what are you not?
Yeah,
no, I'm not.
No. Are you not also speculating, asking why didn't he ask for the money earlier? Are you not also speculating?
That's only natural.
That's posing the question.
And what am I? And so for you, it's natural, but for me, it's not natural.
Hold on a second. A player just got sold, and you're a guy that has a direct interest in the sale, and you're not gonna all of a sudden. Oh, by the way, damn man, I forgot that I was owed this money from
Who thinks that
Sporting
he
for the
forgot?
Adrian Silva
Who
deal.
thinks that he
Oh,
forgot?
it just went off 6 months later. Come
Who
on.
thinks that he forgot?
He forgot. That guy forgetting? Come
I'm
on.
asking you.
Oh,
Do you
for this.
think that he forgot?
Peter, are you naive
Of
or
course he
for this? Estás a
because I
brincar
want.
comigo aqui?
Oh my God, you don't get my point. You're being. Oh my God, you're being so obtuse. I'm saying obviously he didn't forget, so obviously he stepped up. What I assume, I know that he definitely stepped up because he's not an idiot. He doesn't forget. And what I have to assume was that Bruno Carvalho asked him another 6 months until July or June, whenever they would start selling players, to pay off those fees. Because I don't think that Jorge Mendes is an idiot to a point of saying, "Hey, this guy just got sold. Where's my money?" He's not going to forget about that. He's going to ask about it. I have to assume that Bruno Carvalho didn't have the money or cut a deal with him to give him the money as soon as the.
Did you ever consider when he reworked all those contracts, he cut them all out?
If he cut them all out, he had to pay them.
That's the thing. He never told them that he cut them out.
Then
he never told Jorge Mendes that he cut them out.
Then isn't that illegal?
No.
Then how?
Do you not know anything about contracts, bro? That has nothing to.
Out of a contract then, like if they own.
Well, he re-signed his contract. He signed a brand new contract. That's it. It was whoever. It's between you and me. Nobody else. It's a brand new contract. I don't have to tell anybody else about anything else. Do you not know anything about contracts?
As he goes along, he does pay the agent or whoever owns the rights to the player. Sporting would have paid the money. So when the 40% goes up to 80%, that means Sporting has cashed out money for Adrian to whoever was representing him at the time, Justy Foot or whatever. But as you say, if Jorge Mendes is owed money, there's another situation for him to flag up that Sporting didn't give him the money. When Sporting take Adrian up from 40% to 80% ownership, and make that official and it's in the news, where was Jorge Mendes to say, hold on, you owe me money?
Listen, are we not getting the right? Hold on, I'm going to read the whole thing again, because from what I heard was that from what I read was that it was the last contract that they negotiated. They had to pay a fee to Jorge Mendes that they agreed to sell, that they agreed to pay, from what I know, in 2018, right? In this transfer window in the summer.
But Adrian's agent, that's the thing. Adrian's agent has been Pini Zahavi for about 2 years now. He hasn't been with Jorge Mendes at all.
So why is Jorge Mendes getting cut, Peter?
Exactly, that's what I'm going to check. Dude, why are you? Whatever.
Because it's logical, man.
I know it's not a commission.
It's logical.
That's all bullshit.
It's all going to bullshit, boys. It's not in your favor. It's bullshit.
Oh my God, whatever, man. If you think all the players are rescinding because of their agents, then that's real.
No, but
listen. If you don't think that way, then you're naive.
Yeah, I'm not thinking.
Who do you think is putting this shit in their heads, bro?
Because first of all,
who do you think is putting shit in their heads?
Because the players don't listen. I don't care who is my agent. It could be my dad. It could be my grandfather. It could be Jorge Mendes. If I was working with somebody like Bruno Carvalho, I would want out of that club as fast as I could.
Here's the problem, Peter. You keep on saying that's you, not someone else. Someone else thinks differently than you.
For anybody else, I can't speak for anybody else but me.
Okay, but I'm saying you would do that, not someone else. Someone else thinks differently. Most of these guys don't know how to work. They don't know how to do anything.
Yeah,
they have everybody doing something for them. Now, Patrick, going back to my original question, why did Napoli not sign Rui Patricio? Because I know Peter doesn't want me to talk about this, but I have to talk about this.
On a free.
No, but let me just, before you guys...
On a free, yes.
Because it's not a clear situation whether the player is free or not. And
all right, so let's say they sign him. Let's just say they sign him. Hold on. Let's say they sign the guy. They sign Rui Patricio. All of a sudden, the courts are in favor of Sporting. How much does Napoli now have to pay Sporting?
That's the thing. We don't know. Sporting can charge whatever they like.
It's called the
What is
release clause.
Their valuation.
Okay, and their evaluation is 45 million euros. So anybody out there that thinks you're going to get these players for free, you're smoking crack. They're not going to get them for free.
Anyway,
that's never going to work.
Listen, before we move on, Cynthia was saying if they are writing quote unquote owners of percentages of the players out of contracts, how does that help any relationships between the clubs and the agents?
Because Jorge Mendes is a persona non grata in Sporting.
Well, he is, but listen to me. Like, you cannot write somebody out of a... Listen, assuming that he has a share, because that's what I have to assume, is that he has a share of Adrian Silva somehow. You can't write that money. You can't just write him out. He has to, like, you have to pay a certain amount of money to get the player. Like Patrick was saying, like, they bought João Mario off 40% and another 40% or whatever. They have to pay those guys.
Adrian wasn't the only one from Jorge Mendes. William as well was one of the players that was bought out with success.
Yeah,
there's many others.
He's not a Jorge Mendes player.
But he was.
But he's not. So
he's not now.
We can move out of that way that
it's the same thing.
They're being pushed out by Jorge Mendes because he's not managed by Jorge Mendes. He's not, he's not his agent.
No, but I'm saying
he's not controlling that backstage too.
I'm saying.
So Peter, let me ask you something.
The same way they did Adrian.
Peter, let me ask you something. You're my agent, right?
Yeah. Last question, by the way.
We sign a contract. You're my agent. I sign a contract. I don't like what happened during the contract. I fire you. In the contract, it does say that you are in right of a percentage. You are no longer my agent. Why does the club have to pay you?
Hold on. If you fire me, you have to compensate me for my my work. You can't just fire somebody without paying them.
So hold on a second. When João Moutinho's fired whoever his agent was and signed with Jorge Mendes, did he pay him anything?
He had to. Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Show me where. Show me where.
Listen, I don't know, Patrick. Do you think that he has to? I mean, I assume you have to pay some.
I'm telling you, no.
Contract with somebody. How does that work? Patrick.
The contract, the ownership has nothing to do with the player's decision itself. It's an agreement between the agent and the club. So, for example, Godinho Lopes would have said, "Listen, I need money. Buy this percentage of Adrian, for example, and give me 2 million." And Sporting Bank 2 million from Gestifoot or something like that. That's more or less not the values. The values aren't accurate, but that's more or less what would happen. And then that's a deal between the agent and the player. The agent can then get sacked or whatever, but the deal is still his, and the ownership still belongs.
Sporting will eventually have to
him
pay.
Unless
they have to pay, right? Yeah, they always have to pay him. You can just outright fire someone. First of all, I don't think so. And second of all, if they own a percentage, they still own that percentage.
The only question here is, did Sporting pay it or not? And obviously, why is it being brought up now?
Listen, I don't know if they paid it or not, but I remember your president has a bad track record of losing court cases. So, I mean, he said he wasn't going to pay Doyen, and he ended up paying more than he should have to Doyen because of Ho-Ho. So I don't trust him anyway.
Yeah, but
that's one case.
There was a greater fight at the end of that Doyen case, which was obviously to try to eradicate third-party ownership, which at the end of it they did.
They owned percentage, but they owned the percentage, and he wasn't paying them, and he ended up paying the whole thing. So I mean. Listen,
yeah, of course they paid it at the end of the day, but that Sporting was Bruno Carvalho was flagging up an issue, and in certain cases, third-party ownership is problematic for many clubs.
It's banned now. It's banned in UEFA.
Hey, Bruno. So Cynthia's saying, so I'm going to the bank and I write a new mortgage with the bank, and I will own Bruno's house. And then she says, "Get out." That's really sneaky, no?
Listen, you're comparing apples and oranges.
She asked you a question, man. You got to answer her.
Wait, what did she say?
She said if it isn't sneaky, for the fact that she goes to the bank, she writes a new mortgage, and she owns your house, and then she tells you to get out. And she asks, that's really sneaky, no?
And how many times has that happened?
Listen,
How many times has husbands and wives done that behind other people's backs and that happened? And then all of a sudden they're divorced and like, wait a minute, I thought I was on the deed and I'm not on the deed? What happened here? How many times does that happen? Is it sneaky? Yes. Did it happen? Yes. You see the point here? It happened.
No, I got no idea. I can no.
Pronto, but I'm telling you, this is what I've been telling you since we started this conversation.
And I will maintain my opinion. So I mean,
it's like we said, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but by the way, I'm gonna give you my opinion right now on the whole thing, is that no matter what the outcome will be, which I think I will be right, those players will end up getting signed pretty soon.
Oh yeah, and let me guess, by Benfica, right?
I think we have a shot, at least, of trying to sign at least
one of
them, which I would like.
Bro,
that's it.
Peter, I'm gonna tell you, and all your Benfica guys that are.
That's my opinion, man. Like, you can tell me whatever you want. I already know what you're gonna say.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you mine, and I cut you off because you cut me off, and that's how we're gonna do things. But any Benfica fan, and there are many of them that really think that they're gonna sign Rui Patricio, who is no longer Frangisu. All of a sudden now he's the best goalkeeper in Europe and one of the best in the world.
Most Benfica fans actually respect Rui Patricio.
Don't matter. They made fun of him. Now he's really good. They call him Rui Patricio. They don't call him Frangisu anymore.
I don't remember people making fun of Patricio for the past
I do.
years, so you must be wrong.
I do.
Or you must know fanatics, because I'm talking about actual fans. And don't put all eggs in one basket.
They're fans, fanatics. They all call him Frangisu. Now it's Rui Patricio.
For years we haven't called him. You can have your.
You want Bruno Fernandes, you want Gelson Martins, you want all these other guys. You sign, and then the courts favor Sporting. Be prepared to sell everything you own, your mother, your father, your dog, your cat, everybody. Because you're not going to have enough money for all that. You think you're bad in debt now? Wait till you have to give $100 million for Bruno Fernandes. That's one player.
Okay, and that's what you think, and then I'll think otherwise. Anyway, so Daniel, you want to help us out here, man? Maybe like share your thoughts on this, since you've listened to everybody.
Thanks, Peter. No, to be honest, really not that much to add on it. I mean, I don't want to get too much into something that I don't know a lot about. I mean, obviously, I've been following what's going on, but not to get into much detail. I just don't like to come up with a lot of assumptions. The only thing that I will add, and I will say, I mean, don't get me wrong, any of those players that are available, I would love to have them on Benfica as a Benfica fan. But, I mean, if I'm any of those players, Bruno Fernandes or Gelson or William or Rui Patricio, I would not sign for my rival, even if as a person or as an athlete, you got down inside, you want to get back. I mean, if you are rescinding your contract and your main cause for rescinding your contract is your safety or the place that you work is unsafe for. I mean, driving down this, what do you call that there? Going after the Segunda Rotunda to Stadio de Luz from Alvalade, I'm not sure that'd be too safe to be in Lisboa there. But but the only thing I will just add is that what you guys are saying about Bruno Carvalho possibly changing contracts, or as Bruno was saying there, to cut Mendes out or cut a share out. The only thing I will say is that, I mean, I have nothing against Jorge Mendes. I don't know the guy personally or whatever, but just because he does seem to have all his hands a lot in Portuguese soccer, football, it's nice to see one president actually stand up to Jorge Mendes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like players going to other clubs and so they can experience different soccer, but it's nice to see that happening. But last thing I'll say about it is hopefully some resolution comes to it. As you guys started off at the beginning saying, whatever does happen, if this does rule in favor of the players, not only in Portugal, but across Europe, across the world, in terms of soccer, there will be consequences or ramifications. So I guess we, as fans, just have to see how it plays out. Hopefully it doesn't get too ugly, but with the way of the state things are, who knows? Just a quick question for you guys. I did see something this morning that Bruno Carvalho something about the Assad Sporting, they asked him for him to be suspended. So is he suspended, or is that still something that's being worked out?
That's
Man,
a completely different issue.
yeah, I wish I knew
Oh,
how
okay.
to do that, man.
Okay.
I think that so what I gathered from what I've heard, and Bruno, you should be able to compliment me on this because, like, add to what
I
I
guess what you're saying.
okay. So from what I know was that they created this Conselho de Fiscalização, right, or whatever it was, and they've gotten. I believe Bruno is suspended, but I don't know if they have to pass some kind of court ruling for it to be official because he's fighting it off, saying it's illegal and that he's not actually suspended. So I honestly have no idea if he's suspended or not. I mean, maybe Bruno's had something out right.
Well, the whole issue right now is that Marta Suarez character. Marta
Oh, okay.
Suarez, he asked for his resignation. However, he only said it publicly. He never put it in writing. So
Okay, so he didn't actually legalize it. I got you.
exactly. So now so basically he still has he's holding on to the little power that he still has.
He would still have
You
that
get what-
power, by the way, Bruno.
Not if he quit.
Yeah, yes, because the President da Assembleia Geral always has his powers until a new
No one is appointed
gets his.
or elected, whatever. Okay. Well,
So he maintains the same powers whether he's fired or whether he quit or not.
quits or resigns. All right. To me, it's a very complicated situation. It looks to me that Bruno Carvalho just doesn't want to listen to what the courts say. He kind of wants to do whatever he wants to do. He's beating at his own drum. This is the way. That's the way he rolls. And obviously the courts are going to step in and they're going to finalize everything, and they're going to tell him, "Hey, listen, this is how things roll. This is what's going on, and this is what you need to do to follow the rules." Do I believe, now going back to the players really quick, do I believe that the players will ever play for Sporting again? And I said this before, and I'll say this again. It don't matter if Bruno Carvalho is in, out, new president, old president. Those guys are never playing for Sporting again. Ever.
And with that, I agree 100%.
There's no possible way that those players could play for Sporting ever again. And I know that Cynthia said something in our chat because she mentioned something about Bas Dost. And to answer her question, Bas Dost is the only player that has justa causa to rescind his contract, without question, because he was the one that physically got assaulted.
I think a few others got assaulted too, didn't they?
Well, he showed physical proof of it. I didn't see anybody else with the physical proof. He was the only one, and yes, is the only one that could rescind. Nobody else can say anything. Oh, they got their feelings hurt. Oh, listen, buy a teddy bear.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So with that said, we're done with the Sporting deal. Went a little bit over what I wanted to, but I mean, it's crazy to not talk about this. It would be impossible to not spend a little bit of time on it. So I appreciate everybody's.
I know you're gonna reserve 5 minutes to talking about Benfica though and their crisis. No.
No, I'm not.
Boys, no. Okay, just checking. I was just checking.
If he wants to talk about it, I'll give him a whole podcast after the World Cup. Just listen to Bruno rambling about Benfica. That's what he loves.
Was there not another? Wasn't there not a pinta of Busquets in the Stadio Luz this last couple of weeks that we were off? I guess there was nothing going on there, right?
Yeah, it happened. There were searches. It is what it is, my man. We'll see. Wasn't there also searches with Sporting and all that? So we're going to see how things will turn out. For right now, I'm not worried. My club seems to be handling things quite well. They got UEFA to side with them on the voucher deal, so I'm just going to expect everything else to run exactly like that. So we're going to have to wait and see. But if you want, I'll give you a whole podcast to talk about that after the World Cup because there'll be plenty to talk about, I suppose. So there you go. I'll give you that. But right now, I think
Vai ser verão quentíssimo.
I think the Sporting crisis was way more important than some searches at Benfica. So, I mean, that's why that took the highlight. And, let's move on now to the Portugal and the World Cup for a little bit. All right. So, I don't want to get into the preseason games, but obviously we had 3 preseason games, right? If I'm not mistaken. Who was it? Tunisia, Belgium, and
Algeria.
So we tied Tunisia, right? 2-2, I believe. And then
0-0 against Belgium, and then 3-0 against Algeria.
There we go. And on the spot there. So I wanna get your thoughts on those games. Maybe I'll start with Patrick. I only watched one of them, which was the last one, so I can't talk about the other ones. But what's your general idea right now, Patrick? And we'll look over the squad a little bit later. But what do you think? What are you thinking about the squad and just how things are shaping up?
Well, I'll mention 2 things, and one is a positive. Speaking specifically about the Tunisia game, and that was obviously, and that should something happen with Ronaldo, or once Ronaldo starts getting on a bit and getting old, which I don't know when that might be. It might be for a long while yet, but should he be out the picture? I think Portugal look quite good and quite interesting. There's a lot of players there now in that attacking third: Gonçalo Guedes, André Silva, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, Gelson, João Mario coming in as well. I thought against Tunisia they were able to show a very interesting dynamic, and the football wasn't so predictable. I think a lot of the time when we play Ronaldo or something, we're used to, we either just pass it straight to him because he's the main man, or we get predictable, a bit like Sporting and Porto sometimes, and it's just cross. And attacking wise, it's not good, it means that that Portugal, if they play that kind of football, they're more likely to come and get stuck against some other teams. So it was interesting to see all those new faces interact. I thought the football in the attacking third was very fluid against Tunisia. And then onto the negative, it's the big problem that Portugal has, and that's defining their back line, their defence. And we obviously know that for Tunisia, it was Ruben Dias that came in, and obviously he needs some games yet to settle in, and it's a different level as well for him. It's a different kind of step that he'll be taking, so he has to adapt to that kind of level as well at World Cup. The other alternative to Ruben Dias is José Fonte, who's a man who's declining, but I think will be the man that Fernando Santos backs to play alongside Pep. But the defense isn't very strong, and with quick attackers like Tunisia have, and there'll be plenty more come the World Cup that have greater quality and will cause far more damage. Portugal has to be wary about that and how their defence is stretched, because it really did get stretched quite well by Tunisia on the day, and they were able to cause us problems and get 2 good goals from it. Against Belgium, it was a bit of a different game. Belgium are a team that I think they're obviously very strong, and a lot of people will be tipping them to do well, but I think they are a team that's playing below potential and could be one of the big disappointments of the World Cup. I'm not sure that Roberto Martinez has really got the best out of that squad so far, and Portugal were able to look that in the eyes and remain compact at the back. Had a few good moments, some impressive displays from certain players at the same time, and they got a 0-0. It's not a bad result considering you're playing against a strong side. And obviously in the last game against Algeria, Portugal were able to show off their attacking quality again. Algeria again, a team that aren't having the best of times, having failed to qualify for the World Cup and what have you. And at the back, they're not the strongest either. So you do have to take that into account. But the teams are there to be finished off, and Portugal put in a good display just before the World Cup. So, as overall, I think there's potential there to be excited because obviously, as I said, those players in the attacking third, they can create something a little bit different for Portugal. And as we know, Portugal sometimes under Fernando Santos is a bit toothless, and they like to be very compact and dull and bore a game out and whatnot. But the defense has and always will be my main concern, and it will probably be that defines how far Portugal get in the competition as a whole.
Daniel, you wanna weigh in on this?
For sure. I mean, kind of as Patrick mentioned. I mean, personally, I didn't get a chance to watch the Belgium game. I only watched the first game. That's an easy game, and the last game, Malouz against Algeria. But kind of not really much different other to add than what Patrick added. I mean, I do think sometimes, even with Andre Silva, even the partnership that he formed with Christian during the qualifying games, which led to a lot of goals. I do think even with Andre Silva up top, Portugal can be a little bit too predictable, as Patrick mentioned, crossing into the box to Ronaldo. I think sometimes with them up, with both Andre Silva and Ronaldo up top, Portugal can kind of pass, look for the cross directly from the wide points, looking for either Andre Silva's head or particularly Ronaldo's head. It was nice to see a little bit of change in the attack. I mean, sometimes it's kind of like preseason for our club teams in July and August. You kind of take friendlies from what they are. Maybe some players after a long season, they're not giving it their all. Nobody wants to risk an injury. But it was nice to see that dynamic in the attack. It kind of felt like it was a little bit of maybe a false nine with Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, and Christian on top. I do think that, especially for the first game, Santos will probably maybe revert back to the same tactics as more defensive, and maybe we can see somebody like Guedes or Bruno Fernandes come on, depending on the scoreline of the game. But I would say that what we saw in the last game, which was refreshing to see, we probably might see later on in the tournament. Again, I guess depending on how the games go. But it was nice to see some of the young attacking talent that we have get a chance. As Patrick mentioned, with our back line, is a little bit worrisome. Would have liked to have seen some of our younger defenders, maybe a Ruben Vezu or somebody like that, or a Paulo Oliveira, get a chance through the friendlies or the qualifiers. But obviously, Santos felt differently. Kind of, given his track record with our Seleção, can't give him we kind of got to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I thought the 3 friendlies were what they were, a chance to try something else different. Obviously, going into the World Cup, I do like our attacking promises a little bit better compared to Euro 2016, but obviously still question marks with our back line.
I wanna weigh in first before Bruno. I just wanna. I don't want to add too much to it. I'll say that I think we shouldn't worry too much on the defense simply because we're just with him. I think Fernando Santos is a good manager, and Portugal is always usually solid at the back. I mean, with most clubs, throughout the Primeira Liga. So defense is something that we kind of know how to do well. But I do agree pace could be difficult. But I mean, at one point, if he needs more pace, I think, and I like to believe that Ruben Dias would be ready to step up. Obviously, maybe not to the same level, but of certain players. But I mean, we saw Lindelof step up brilliantly against Lewandowski, so I mean, it could happen. I just want to say that I do believe that Portugal has one player that I believe is one of the most crucial ones, and it's one that I don't think a lot of people will talk about. But I think for Portugal to do well, I think it's going to be extremely important that Gonçalo Guedes does well, because he just brings another type of fluidity to the attack, and he's very good on goals. So if he manages to bury the chances that he's eventually going to get, because I believe he's a much better striker, even though he doesn't play as a striker usually, but he's a much better finisher Okay, there we go. Then André Silva, I think if you play Ronaldo and Gonçalo Guedes up front with Bruno Fernandes and the Bernardo Silva, the magic happens. And I think if Gonçalo Guedes manages to score the opportunities he's going to get, he'll get Portugal far. I think he's going to be one of the most important players in this team. Bruno, you want to weigh in on the friendlies and all that?
Well, I'd like to start off with the first friendly against Tunisia because I just heard you say that you would love to see Ruben Diaz start. Is that correct?
I didn't watch that game.
I'm just asking you if you said that you would love to see Ruben Diaz start.
Would we need the pace? Yes, I think he would step up.
Oh, that's fantastic because I do remember against Tunisia, and I know you didn't watch it, but there are people that did watch it. Like, for example, Rui Pedro Braz on, I believe it's TVE. Is it TVE that he's on?
Yeah.
Okay. I love how he blamed Joseph Font on the second and tying goal when we saw Mr. Ruben Diaz, which every Benfica fan wants him to start, kind of pull up and let the guy kick the ball in the goal. Just a little observation that, the Red Press decided to leave out. Because that was a pretty big one, and it was a pretty blatant one. You want to have an inexperienced player play in the World Cup because he has a little bit more pace, but he's making errors like that on set pieces? Yeah, no thanks. Unless you want to get out of the tournament pretty early, go right ahead. As for the team itself, Tunisia, the game, there were moments in the game in which they played well. But the second half and after a bunch of changes, things went down. The Belgian game is where we saw a lot better consistency from the team. But again, I'm not feeding nowhere near into these friendlies. Friendlies are friendlies. I've seen friendlies before in which, for example, and I'll always use this example, Portugal versus Ireland here in the U.S., 5-0. Oh, we're going to go and win the World Cup, and then you crash out in the group stage because that was the worst thing that could have happened. You're playing in a very tough group. If you don't beat Spain now that Lopetegui has been fired 2 days before their first game, you're never going to beat Spain again.
I also pegged to win that game before Lopetegui got sacked, but that's just me.
I will say this, though. It's better that Portugal finishes second than they finish in first because then you'll be on the other side of the bracket.
So it depends.
Huh?
Surprise or not, but it depends if there's a surprise or not. That's always good to say, but if there ends up being a surprise.
You're telling me that Germany is not going to win their group?
I don't know what the other group is. I wasn't looking. I'm not looking. I have no idea.
Germany is on that side. Germany is on that one side that if they finish first, that's the side that they'll be on. So it'll be Germany on that side, and then.
So you want to stay first, right?
Yeah, if you want to.
I would say second.
But that way
you would stay second.
What?
France are on the other side and could be matched up with.
And potentially Brazil. Brazil or Argentina.
They're all going to be difficult. Besides, to me personally, I believe the hardest nation is Germany. I think all the other ones Portugal can beat. Because they can stand toe to toe with them.
I don't think they can beat Spain.
We can't escape. Like this tournament is too it's too big. Like it's too good for us to try and avoid certain teams.
I don't think it's good. I think it's leveled down this tournament. I mean, you look at, for example, let's just say they advance.
Everybody, that's what I'm trying to say. Besides,
let's just say they advance as in second place, and Uruguay wins their group, which is Group A. They'll play Uruguay. Uruguay's midfield is an experienced midfield, but I think they're kind of old. They have two very good goal scorers. Their defense is slow as hell. Goalkeeper,
they are very disciplined.
They're disciplined, but they're old and they're slow.
I think
Argentina
will be very difficult for Portugal if they manage to match up with them.
Argentina doesn't bother me at all.
It doesn't bother me at all either. I mean, they have a great attacking front. They have a decent midfield, and their back line is slow and old. Goalkeeper,
for sure, I agree.
Goalkeeper, I don't think that they have a goalkeeper that can win a tournament. That's just my opinion. I don't think Argentina is good. I don't think Argentina is good enough to win the World Cup.
They're not even. I mean,
I
They
think
got
that
to the final last time with the same goalkeeper, Sergio Romero.
But Sergio Romero's injured, right? He's out for the World
yeah,
Cup.
he's out.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah,
out.
of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
Willie
yeah.
Caballero is there. What's their?
Willie Caballero was in.
He's
Let me
not
check.
bad. He's not bad.
I mean, listen, they got Iceland and Croatia and Nigeria. There's a chance that Argentina doesn't get out of the group stage.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Looking at the groups, I think that group is. I think any two teams from that group can come. I mean, no disrespect to Messi and Argentina, but any two teams from that group can easily come out.
Yeah, I mean,
I will say this, Peter.
Croatia's really good.
I will say this.
Me and Patrick were talking to Dark Horse for his choice. So
Look at the last two games that Argentina played against Nigeria. I believe that Argentina lost both games. Nigeria has some stupid team speed. Stupid. That
yeah,
I mean,
about that affair.
but I mean, that team is ridiculously fast, and you're playing against that Argentina midfield and defense. They're going to rip them apart, and that's even in third gear. We're not even talking about fifth gear. When they put it in fifth gear, then it's lights out. And then Croatia is that one team that I don't know. I think Croatia is going to be the one team that's going to advance out of that group with Nigeria, and I don't see Argentina advancing.
I think Argentina can do something. Sometimes teams, in qualifying and all that they struggle, and then when it comes to the big time, something just clicks. It's just a moment.
Isn't there like starting 11 has Salvio was their right wing back? I mean, that's never gonna work. I mean,
and Acuna the left wing back.
Sampaoli is a good coach.
I mean, let's face it, it's Salvio. I mean, Acuna, okay, fine, he can sort of defend, but Salvio can't defend for shit. So I mean,
yeah, but
you match him up
Patrick,
there are similar players like that. There are similar players like Salvio that perhaps you wouldn't think, like, for example, Victor Moses at Chelsea. You wouldn't say that guy can defend, but he actually can, and he fits quite well into Chelsea's wing-back system. So I think Salvio can do something. Obviously, on the other side, they've got Tagliafico as well, who's very good. So Acuna, I'm not sure Acuna will start, but they've got Argentina have got interesting players. I think they could even have an even better squad. They called up Enzo Perez, which it wouldn't be something I would have done. When you got someone like Leonardo Paredes over at Zenit, who's a quality player, and he didn't get a sniff into the team, but obviously their attack, their attack alone can win games. I think Messi,
right? But listen, is
Argentina
better than Portugal though?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, Portugal has weaknesses as well.
But what do we gotta do? I mean, isn't this one of the most solid squads we've ever had?
It is, but I think the defense is close to one of the worst we've had in recent years.
I mean, listen, didn't we handle Ricardo Carvalho pretty well in the Euro 2016?
Yeah, but it's 2 years on. 2 years on though. A lot changes in 2 years.
I know, but listen, my biggest issue with our defense, besides one of the center backs, that goes going to pair up with Pep is never going to be as good as him. It's Cedric playing, honestly, because I don't rate Cedric nowhere near.
Cedric is good, I think.
As I rate Ricardo, I think Ricardo would have been a much better option. But I mean, that's about it. I think we have. I think we have one very solid, cohesive squad. I think if we need to move some pieces around, we can easily do that. And I think the key this year, unlike 2016, is going to be how many goals we can score, because I believe that our front is going to be very powerful if we manage to bag the chances we get. If we're clinical, this team could easily score 3-4 goals a game.
So the thing is, I'm looking at Portugal, and on the topic of backline, we must not forget Rafael Guerreiro is a great player. One of the potential to be one of the best left backs in the world, but he's someone who hasn't had a very good season.
And he's also very injury prone.
But that's why he's
having a difficult time,
right?
So but you do lose a lot of quality when you do that as well. I mean,
Mario
is decent.
You could play Ricardo. Ricardo could play on the left side too. So I mean,
you always lose a bit. You always lose a bit if you're not a versatile fullback who can play with his left or his right. You always lose it, but it's always another player that's going to be looking to come inside, and all of a sudden you lose your width a bit.
But at least you win some more consistency defensively, because I believe that Ricardo is a better defender than Guerreiro. So I mean, you lose some, you win some. You know, it's
To me,
every player is different. That's why I think this squad complements itself pretty well.
nah, I don't know. I think the thing is, I think this squad is upside down to me. If we're looking at looking at the manager and the player, because we know Fernando Sanchez is someone who is very rigid and obviously treats. He works from the ground up, so defense first, make sure the team's solid and compact, and then the attack takes care of itself via counter or something like that. And it's plausible to believe that's how he'll approach things. But you know, when you're defensive, is it? Because this isn't the same as I said. This isn't the same defense that we had at Euro 2016. Font, who will probably play next to Pep, is not the same player. He's the big red flag. Guerreiro's below form. Should you really be as rigid as Fernando Sanchez likes to be and invite that sort of pressure if your defence isn't as good to sustain that sort of pressure?
Yeah, but
That's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
preaching,
Or do you be more open and risk conceding in favour of trying to, outscore an opponent, which, potentially Portugal could, but it's not something that we're used to or something that I can see from Fernando Sanchez ever going for.
I agree, but listen, there's also
tricky.
something that you're kind of forgetting is that Sporting fans loved to preach that Rui Patricio is one of the top 10 goalkeepers in the world. I mean, if you got a guy with that caliber, he should save Portugal a couple of goals. I mean, we saw that.
Yeah, but let's be
real. It depends in what game. I mean, if Patricio's on, it doesn't matter if your defense is a little bit lacking in one game or the other. No, listen.
It depends. Look, you could have De Gea in goal, you could have Neuer in goal, you could go all the way back to Levi Yashin. If the chance is good and the striker's good, he's finishing it, and you can't look at the goalkeeper and say, why didn't you save that or anything like that. I think but a goalkeeper is the last person you have to be relying on.
No, but look at United though. Look at United. Their defense is terrible. De Gea saves a bunch of goals.
Man United's defense is better than Portugal's. A few levels above.
Yeah. Okay. I just think that we're putting all this pressure on defense and it's not even going to matter as much, honestly, because this team is going to be super dangerous on the counter. And if we play well on the counter and if we score our chances, man, this team could easily win most games by 2 goals at least. And it's just that I think that all these nations, I'm sorry, but I'm not afraid of. Obviously, they're hard nations. I'm not going to say that the games will be easy, but I'm not afraid of Brazil, and I'm not afraid of Argentina. I'm not afraid of Uruguay. I'm not afraid of Serbia. I'm not afraid of Croatia. I'm not afraid of Switzerland. I'm not afraid of Belgium. The only 2 nations where I honestly think that could match us and beat us, that I believe are the favorites against us, would be France. But we've already beaten them before, so I mean, it could happen again. And Germany, because I believe Germany is levels above everybody else. That's why I think they're going to win the World Cup. But I don't see.
How could you leave Spain out on that?
Because first of all, they have a new coach. We'll see how he handles the team, and I think their levels with everybody else, they're on the same level. I don't think there's some huge discrepancy.
Did you see their qualifiers?
No, I didn't watch.
I watch
Spain.
I think Spain.
You should have watched it because they breezed through everybody. That was just disgusting to watch because they just ripped everybody from the start. They just
depends how difficult the group was. What teams were in there? That's easy to say. I don't know who was there.
They had Italy. Italy in their group.
Italy isn't that good.
No, they are on a decline, but still they as Bruno said.
Italy's still Italy though.
We play Italy.
They went through them for nothing.
Yeah, but I mean, we beat Italy if we play them. They're not. Honestly,
where have we beaten Italy? Please show me where we've beaten Italy in the last 10 years.
We beat them
in a friendly. In a friendly, we beat them. Eder scored the goal.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, bro.
Again, it was a friendly though.
Yeah, but that was the last time we played them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for this.
Listen, it was the last time we played them. Honestly,
meaningful games.
Dude,
I don't think we've played Italy in a meaningful game since the 1994 qualifying. campaign, if I can recall correctly.
And
the last time we played Spain in a meaningful game was obviously the 2012 Euro semifinal, and then before that was the 2010
World Cup.
Round of 16. Yeah,
I was in Spain that day. That was like I was on holiday. That was a terrible day. That was a terrible day. And freaking David Villa.
There's a certain amount of countries that Portugal could never beat, and I'm going to give you a couple of them. One,
Bruno,
Spain.
sorry to interrupt you, but just before you go on that. With that being said, though, since Fernando Santos has taken over, we have beat teams that we've never beat before. Do you think that could continue? Like, for example, France, or if they were in the World Cup, Italy, Spain, can we beat them this time around? Because, with Fernando Santos, sorry not to go on a tantrum here, but I don't think just tactically he's changed Portugal, but I think also mentally he's changed them.
Okay, but I'm saying there's a couple countries we can not never beat, but we have a high probability of losing.
Almanya.
One is Spain.
Yeah,
one is Spain. Two is Germany. Hold on, let me finish. Three is Italy. And four is France. And I will say this: I'll rebuttal what you're saying. We'll play France 10 times. We will lose 9.
We need these
I think the Euro was the first win we had in 20 games against them, or something like that. Some crazy number.
Yeah.
Remember the stupidity that it was it like 2002 with the
penalty? Dude, we got lucky. Let's be honest. We got lucky. We won the Euro. Stop it.
And in my personal opinion, France is stronger now than they were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I just think they're the team of ups and downs. I think they can play really well. Next season they can.
Peter, I completely agree with you. I mean, again, as I just said, I do think they are a stronger side than they were 2 years ago. But France is also one of those teams. If you look at, if you take history for what it's worth, France, ever since they won the World Cup in '98, one World Cup they're good. Next World Cup, not so good. Next World Cup, good. Next World Cup, not so good. 2014, I think they went out at the quarterfinals, correct, to Germany. Before that, 2010 was crap. 06, they made the final. 02, they went out of the group stage, and then 98, they won. So this year, they have a very talented side, but France could be one of those teams. They could win the whole thing, or they can go out at the group stage. But also the same thing could be said about us. We could win the whole thing, but we can go home at the group stage.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but thank you on that, because I think see, this is why I put Germany on another level, is just because I believe that Germany is extremely consistent and has by far the best players in every single position. Meanwhile, you can find gaps. You can find. Goalkeeper Neuer, right? Defense pretty solid. I think I'm not looking at their squad right now. I'm not sure if Boateng's called up, but he's obviously one of them.
Kimmich, Boateng, Hummels, and their left back. Who's their left back? It's a makeshift one.
Isn't it Hector? Didn't they play Hector?
They do have Hector, of course, yeah. But I was watching them the other day, and they had someone else.
Really quickly, Germany.
But they didn't. Obviously, they didn't call Leroy Sané, which could be quite interesting because of all their wide playmakers and wingers, he's the one who's had the standout season.
Let me see if I can just find. Okay, what group are they in? Do you guys know? It would be easy to find the group. Argentina, Brazil, Costa Rica. No, hold on. Okay, I found Germany. Neuer and Ter Stegen. They're obviously great goalkeepers. Boateng, Ginter is okay. He's not bad. Hector is okay. But Hummels, Kimmich, they also have Marvin Plattenhardt from Hertha Berlin.
Yeah, so it should be Hector.
Yeah, so Rudiger, those are the defenses. Midfield with Brandt, Draxler, Goretzka, Gundogan, Khedira, Toni Kroos, Mesut Ozil, and Ruben. By far one of the better midfields. Brandt, Draxler, obviously Goretzka.
That's probably going to be Khedira, Kroos, Ozil, and then maybe Royce, Muller, and then Timo Werner up front.
Yeah, because they got Gomez, Muller, Royce, and Werner. And Werner is a really good player.
Werner's a big shout for Golden Boot, in my opinion.
Yeah, so This is why I feel like they're levels above
yeah.
everybody else, just
It's
because
a
they're
strong squad, yeah. And to me, Germany and Spain are those two teams that, and this is why I say Portugal got to be careful with this whole craziness that's going on with Spain. Is that Spain are a team that, even with everything that's going around, we can't forget that they've got fantastic footballers, and a lot of them are players that really know how to play with each other. Like they've got that root of, they know where they are. It's almost they can play blindfolded. So it's a dangerous team to.
It's
mess
easy.
about
So easy
with.
to compare.
Yeah.
It's so easy to compare Portugal with Spain, though. Obviously, some players are
I don't
level,
think.
but
I
I
think
think they're
Spain
because
are a
they're
level
older.
above Portugal. Honestly.
Yeah, but that's because they are older players, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be better. Look, obviously you can
On the day that goes for every game.
Yeah, but Busquets, Isco, and Thiago obviously really good. But then you look at Portugal have obviously William Carvalho's levels below Busquets, but still you have Bernardo Silva could easily match up with Isco any day.
Nah, hold on.
Bernardo's playing.
I'm not sure about that.
But
I'm not sure if Ronaldo is as good as Isco. It's debatable.
But even and I look at these, and João Mario on a good day could produce really well.
Well, Spain's defense for starters is far better than Portugal's.
Yeah, they're better, but I mean, it's just that I think that
and their method of play, in my opinion, attacking wise, is better than Portugal's as well. Portugal have good attackers, but let's see if on the big stage when the games really matter, they can patch it together. Whether Fernando Sanchez put enough work in at that end.
Right. Listen, and I'm looking at Asensio. Okay,
great player.
Aspas. I mean,
Aspas isn't bad. He isn't bad. He had a bad time at Liverpool, but he's not a bad player.
Yeah, but he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah, but he's not going to play though, is he? Aspas is on the bench.
Diego Costa doesn't bother me at all. Rodrigo.
Diego. I'll tell you right now, Diego Costa will bully the hell out of the defense.
I just don't rate him that much.
You'd have to get Pepe on him.
Obviously,
Let me ask you. Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this, because you guys brought up Diego Costa. Who starts against Portugal, Diego Costa or Rodrigo?
Diego Costa.
Diego Costa.
Easily. And it's going to be a titanic battle between Diego Costa and Pep.
Yeah. For the pace.
Two physical guys. That's where they're going to be going at it. It's going to be those two guys. Don't kid yourself.
Of course, there's always that debate in Spain, obviously, that they say Diego Costa doesn't really fit into the style. When you got Isco and Iniesta and David Silva and Thiago all roaming around, they say like Diego Costa's too much of a brute, and like in terms of technical ability, which he does have, but it's not really.
It doesn't suit their side. Yeah, it doesn't suit their side, Patrick, as you're saying.
We'll see whether he starts.
Let me just say that I love playing against Spain.
Hopefully Pep doesn't lose his head in the first game again.
These games are so heated, and obviously there's a gap in quality, but the rivalry is really big, and don't take that lightly, because that is important. That is super important. All right. Anyway, let's look over just the squad, the Portuguese squad, real quick, okay? And then we'll move on to just a couple of things before we get done. We're almost over. Let me give you the whole squad, and I'll stop at each position. So you guys, like defenders, attackers, all that, and you guys tell me what you think would benefit, like a change or two, or if you think it's good enough. So obviously starting with the goalkeepers, Patricio, Anthony Lopes, and Beto, I think we pretty much agree that this is one of the better.
Well, you have guys like Neil Fernandes that wanted Varela.
I mean, Varela could have been the third goalkeeper. I don't care.
Are you serious, bro? Don't even start with that. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm just saying it doesn't matter. He's not going to play.
Why would you take him? Do you think he deserves to go?
No.
Well, then why would you take him if he doesn't deserve to go?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not agreeing with you. I'm saying it doesn't matter if he goes or not, because he's not going to play. So it wouldn't matter. That third spot is just Anthony Lopes is way better than anybody else, and he's levels with Patricio a little bit below. I think honestly, this is what the best we could call it. Obviously,
I'll say this much, Peter. If Patricio gives up a frango, you can forget about Portugal. They're done.
Mm.
First game gives up a frango. It's curtains. Could write them
Yeah.
off.
For nonsense mentalidad will start to be tested if that happens, Bruno.
And I will say another
sure.
thing. If this guy Rui Patricio and Bruno Fernandes and all these other guys claim that they're psychologically I can't go back to sporting, huh?
Nobody's claiming that that's affecting them in the national team.
What are you talking about?
Can we not get
Bruno Fernandes said that he wakes up in the middle of the night with nightmares that the guys are going to go hit him. Sorry, if I heard that and I'm your coach, I'm sending you home. You're not ready to play the World Cup.
And none of those guys are being made available by the national team to speak because they know if they are being made available, the Portuguese they will. That's all the press conference will be about. So Portugal is doing a good job of keeping them away from the media for now. But sooner or later, once the tournament starts, those questions will come out.
Yeah, but we should stop talking about sporting because I'm just you got.
No, sorry,
but that's a fact.
You just gotta believe that the players.
It's a fact. Though.
Yeah, they're safe where they are, so they should just focus on.
For now, they're being kept away from the media. Once the media get their hold of them, like Danny's saying, then you got a problem.
Yeah, but even then, they're not going to get attacked or anything. I mean, they got to deal with it.
But they're not going to get attacked. Are you kidding me? What they want is polemica, bro. What are you talking about?
Whatever. We'll get to
that.
Anyway.
No, definitely for sure, Peter. I mean, sorry not to drag on about this, but I mean, kind of when we were having our brief conversation before we started here, I mean, if you look at in Portugal, we play Spain in 2 days, and what's the headlines in Portugal? That's what they're talking about. So if any of those guys are being made available to the media, I guarantee you there's no questions about the Spain game being asked.
I'm just saying that they're not going to feel like threatened by anybody. That's what I was just trying to say. It doesn't matter what the media throws at them. They're going to feel, quote unquote, safe from everybody because they're in a completely different country and the security level is high. So they shouldn't worry about it. And they should just play their football. That's what I was just trying to say.
But psychologically,
Oh, no, for sure. I agree with you as well.
But, I mean, Patrick, they were able to play the Taça Portugal final. They're able to play the World Cup with ease.
Yeah, of course, but you know, things go through a player's head in terms of confidence and that.
I just think
it's not even just about being safe. It's not even just about being safe. It's just, for example, what we have now is sporting players at war with the sporting president, and that situation alone, and thinking about your future. And obviously, some of those players are out on the World Cup on the big stage. They are playing for their future. Depending on how well they play, they may get a move to this club or that club. So
I have something to say.
I was just going to say that I think once the ball starts rolling, they don't think about it.
Peter, let me tell you something. You know that out of the 23-man roster that Portugal has, you have 13 players that have no idea where they're going to be playing next season? 13. That's more than half the roster. Just to let you know that.
Think they're going to worry about that while they're playing the World Cup?
Oh, for this? You want to know where you're going to get paid starting in August? I know I would be really worried about that shit.
Well, Bruno Fernandes,
if I'm a professional player,
he has a contract with Benfica, so let Bruno Fernandes be. I don't care, man.
No,
I don't think it's going to be an issue.
I'm a professional player. I want to know where I'm going to be playing in a couple of months.
I'm not.
I'm not worried about how much I'm going to make it on the national team. I want to be worried about where I'm going to be making my money and for the next year, 2-3 years from now. That's where I'm going to be worried about. So don't tell me that these guys are not thinking about that.
You guys will see if that'll affect us, and if it does, I'll hand it to you guys. I don't believe it. Anyway, let's move on now to the defenders. So this is where it gets kind of tricky, but I don't know if you guys would change anything. I personally, it's hard to say. I don't know if I would have. But anyway, Bruno Alves, maybe I would have added Nelson Smith, but I don't know how much.
What you call up Jardel?
Anyway, Bruno Alves, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Bruno Alves, Cédric Soares, Mário Rui, Pepe, Ricardo Guerreiro, and Rafael Guerreiro, and Ricardo Pereira. Also Ruben Dias. So would you guys change anything here?
Yeah, I would. I would, for sure, not call up Bruno Alves, and Ruben Dias is debatable or Font. I'd definitely be looking at calling up someone like Ruben Viz or Paulo Oliveira.
Does he even play though? Regularly?
Yeah, but Paulo Oliveira obviously is at Eibar, and Eibar had a very solid season in the Liga, finishing in the top half. And Viz it has been starting quite often for Valencia, both at centre back and right back. So, that's Spanish league is a very good level, and when you compare it to someone like Ruben Dias, who obviously plays for Benfica in the Portuguese league. It's good. Will go down a peg. Font struggled at West Ham and he's now in China. And then we go to Bruno Alves, who's playing at Rangers and not being great there either. And we know what Bruno Alves is all about anyway. You know, for sure, I think Ruben Vezo or Paulo Oliveira, or even Pedro Minja at Montpellier, either one of those improves that backline massively just by one change. You can even make 2 or 3, but you know, just at least one change to the centre back options, and I think Portugal look a little stronger than what they are now.
Okay. You guys, the rest of you guys, do you agree with?
I mean, I like where Peter's going with a lot of that stuff that he just said. Not Peter, Patrick. Sorry. First of all, I don't think that Ruben Dias should have been called. I always said Paulo Oliveira should have been in the spot. I think Paulo Oliveira played, had a good season again at Eibar.
Just a quick question. Were you against Renato Sanches also being called up a couple of years ago?
Of course I was. What did he do?
Let's hope that you're wrong again then.
I'm sorry. Renato Sanches, and I heard this from Benfica fans, that he was a player that was going to revolutionize the national team for 10 years. Where's Mr. Revolutionary War now? Oh, yeah, that's right. He can't hit a 10-yard pass. Wow. By the way, when he was on Benfica, I said the same thing. He was completely overrated. The newspapers were blowing everybody's head about this guy. All he did was make one simple pass against Croatia. And by the way, he went all those yards carrying the ball. He was never contested. Not once.
Well,
not once.
Thankfully, he was there. He got us the goal and whatever. If Ruben Dias ends up stepping up, scores the winning goal to win us the World Cup, then you're just going to eat it. I don't care, man. He could be a terrible player. If he makes the plays that we need, I'm all in for that.
Either that or he can do what he just did against – he could do what he did against Tunisia and, well, he cost us some goals. But that's just me. I don't agree with the Bruno Alves. Bruno Alves played the last game, didn't he? And I think he played very well. Does anyone disagree with that?
I don't know if they played well or not, but I didn't pay much attention to
he played. Just because a player doesn't deserve to be there doesn't mean that he can't play well. There are players are professionals, and at some stage they're bound to play well, but more often.
Here's the reason why I'm in complete favor of Bruno Alves. He's the locker room guy. He is the only guy on that roster that will literally throw somebody against the wall and say, "Wake the fuck up."
Do you think that he could play the same role as Ricardo Carvalho 2 years ago?
He can, because I'm going to tell you, first of all, you want a guy that's excellent in the air. Doesn't matter defensively, offensively. There is nobody on that roster that's better than him in the air. Do we agree with that or not?
Just Ronaldo, but yeah, defensively. Just defensively, no. Bruno Alves is still good in the air. I agree with you.
But I think he's also a liability in the air because he's another one of these defenders that likes to go in with elbows and high shots and whatnot. So
definitely, and if we talk
true as well, but the same thing can be said with Ruben Dias, right?
Yeah, but he's
young and aggressive.
35 or 30-year-old, and still hasn't learned how to manage his aggressive level.
I agree with you, Peter. I agree.
But I do agree with Bruno, by the way, because I think that everybody was hating on Ricardo Carvalho when he got called up, and I don't know how many games he played, but I know he played a few, and he was definitely decent there. So that's why I asked you the question. But you can keep going.
Yeah, for sure. And if I can recall correctly, I think that first game that we in Euro 2016 when we played against Iceland, it was Ricardo Carvalho that started because Font only started coming on later on.
Yeah,
if I can recall correctly.
Yeah, I think so too. And he played really well. So, Bruno, you want to finish your thought, or you?
Defensively, I really don't see. I mean, I know there was a lot of speculation about why Nelson Semedo wasn't called. Listen, when you're paid, when someone pays 30 million euros for you and you can't start, and you have a converted midfielder to start over you at right back.
I think
maybe you shouldn't be called.
And he ended up getting injured. Don't forget he got injured. So I don't know what's your Benfica players and not realizing that they also got hurt. I mean, you got to take it down.
But he's also
you
he also wasn't a consistent starter though when he was healthy.
The ones that
Let's
Spanish teams are harder on Portuguese players. God knows why. So
Bro, I saw some of his games. He wasn't it wasn't impressive. And there's another factor that the reason why he probably got left out. He only plays right back. Ricard Pereira can play right and left back and winger. That and if you listen to what Fernando Santos said, he wanted a guy that was very multi-dimensional. He can play a lot of positions. So,
for sure, he loves versatility. That's one of the reasons why he was also disappointed that Daniil got hurt, because Daniil could play center back. Another example.
So, I love when I hear people complain why Ricard Pereira got called. That's the reason why he got called. It was more because of his versatility.
I just wish you would have called Nelson Semedo and Ricardo over
Cedric.
Don't rate Cedric.
Cedric's a better defender.
I think people rate Cedric because of the league that he plays. I just don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that good of a defender, and he brings nothing to the Portugal attack. He's a good crosser. I give him that. But
Cedric had a great Euros.
No, I didn't rate him at all. He cost Portugal a goal. I remember that perfect. Or he almost cost us a goal. I don't know if who was against. Was it Ice? No, he wasn't Iceland.
No, it was. I think the goal you're referring to, Peter, is the game against Poland when that cross came in from his side to Lewandowski's feet, because he messed up on tracking back, but that was there. But I mean, my personal opinion. Personal opinion, I think Cedric. I think he plays. I think he does good for the national team. He didn't have the greatest season at Southampton, but again, I think Cedric is one of those. Santos has shown that he doesn't favor, but I think Cedric is one of Santos' favorite players, so I think he favors him a little bit. And I think in terms of Santos set up tactically, he suits the team, but I guess time will tell this World Cup if we're right or wrong.
Yeah, eventually I think he's going to phase out just because I don't think he's that good. But
and also we have an abundance of talent coming up on right back, as well. So.
Right. That's why I think Ricardo Pereira and Nelson Semedo are much better. And those two can battle it out for the spot. I think Nelson Semedo might be a little bit better, but he's also younger, if I'm not mistaken. They're about the same age. We'll see.
There's also Diogo Dalot at United. We'll see what he does there in the next few years.
Yeah, I think he's going to
might overlap them all.
Watch that.
For sure.
The makeshift flashback. Midfield. So we got Adrian, Bruno Fernandes, João Mário, João Moutinho, Manuel Fernandes, William Carvalho, and that's it. I guess the other guys are forwards. What do you guys change here? I don't know if there's too much to change.
I'll pick on one or two names, but this is more because midfield, there's lots of quality players in there, so it's very competitive. I will call on the first name. I'll call on is João Moutinho, who I think is okay. Obviously, good player, and he's done well at Monaco. But when you have the season that Ruben Neves has had, and when you only got essentially one defensive midfielder in the squad, which is William, I think it would have made sense for Fernando Santos to call up Ruben Neves as a player that not only could play alongside William. Obviously, I prefer Adrian to play there because he's got more legs, he's a bit more tenacious, and can complement William better. But obviously, should have something happen to William, I think it would be natural for someone like Ruben Neves, who's also a deep line playmaker like William, to then step in. I think that was a big disappointment to see Ruben Neves omitted from the squad. The other one, it's more of a, do you add another forward in who's played really well and take out another midfielder? It's a toss-up because, I don't know, Manuel Fernandes had a great season out in Russia. But then you've got someone like Ronnie Lopes at Monaco who's had a really good season as well. And it's obviously always a shame to see a player have a really good season and not make it into the national team. That one's more, it's more debatable, flip of a coin sort of.
I think it's much easier to take out, obviously, us, like we talking, obviously Fernando Santos wouldn't do this, but I think it would be much easier to take off Quaresma for one more, like Bruno or Ronnie Lopes.
But I think, Quaresma is a player that...
Are you serious? You would take out Quaresma?
He always delivers.
Anything from the start. If he
Oh my God, dude. I cannot believe I just heard that. I cannot believe I just heard you would take out Quaresma for who? Ronnie Lopes?
Wow. I don't think he offers anything when he starts. I think he's a very.
Did you watch the qualifiers, bro?
But off the bench, he's very good.
I think.
Oh my God! I can't believe I heard that. I cannot believe I heard that.
Quaresma is a big character in the dressing room. If we're calling up Bruno Walsh because he's a character, then Quaresma is in the squad forever based on his character.
Listen, no, Patrick. I was making the case for us as fans. It would be easy for us to replace Quaresma with somebody else. I don't think Fernando Santos would do that.
How?
The weakest link. He's the weakest link out there.
What? Dude, he's the one that gave how many assists did he give during qualifiers? How many?
Bench. I don't think he offers anything from the start. I think if you start him, you start with 10 players. That's what I'm just trying to tell you.
You didn't watch him against Tunisia, did you?
I didn't watch the Tunisia.
You said you didn't watch that game. You should have watched that game. You would know why Quaresma's there.
Oh well, I'm sure he'll be amazing. I hope he does well if he starts. I just don't have that hope.
For Ronnie Lopes, are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck that guy do all year?
How many goals did he score?
I don't know. He's well in double figures. He had a great season, but that's what I'm saying. If we're looking at Ronnie Lopes, then
so did Quaresma. He was probably best player in Turkey again.
Turkey.
Yeah, right. But I think Ronnie Lopes. But I wouldn't touch Quaresma. I think he'd be in the squad. To me, if you're going to include someone like Ronnie Lopes in, I would have obviously called out someone like Manuel Fernandes, who, to the manager, obviously doesn't mean as much as João Mario and Adrian in terms of his tactics and who he relies on. It would have been, an on-form player versus an on-form player, and that would have been the battle there.
I don't agree with you, Patrick, about Moutinho. I think Moutinho's actually played particularly well in these friendlies. Again, they're friendlies, but he's proven that the reason why he's there. I understand why he didn't call Ruben Neves. It's hard to understand. I mean, you can only take 23. Obviously, if you can take 24, he would have been the 24th guy.
Yeah.
But Moutinho deserves to be there.
Had somebody else in the.
He does. It's a competitive. As I said, the midfield is very competitive, and obviously there was going to be one or two omissions made that one of these players would feel they were hard done by because they have had good seasons, but I just would have gone for Ruben Neves.
For Pizzi 2 years ago when he was left out of the Euro 2016 squad, where I don't think anybody's going to debate Pizzi had a very good year in 2015-16, and he got, he didn't get to win a European medal. It's hard. We're just picking 23 guys, right? Obviously, we can nitpick some of them easily on defense, but on offense, it's just harder to, obviously, like I was saying, Bruno has a point in a case where I see Quaresma the same way I see Raul, only that Raul would be for the goals and Quaresma is for the assists. Well, Quaresma is a great player coming off the bench. I just think, he doesn't offer anything when he starts. But obviously, if you need that injection of pace or just that fire, you can put in Quaresma and he's going to give you that. So it's hard to start our competitiveness up front is just huge. I think we can agree on that, right?
Yeah, it's fierce. I think up front everything is fine. The only name that obviously is an interesting name is obviously Bruma. I think he's the only one that's knocking, but I think he doesn't get in. I think he didn't
even make the final 35.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I think that was the only puzzling thing is that he didn't make the final 35.
Yeah, list. But I think he's an interesting player.
He played really well the final 6 minutes for Benfica, being one of the most crucial players for us. So I mean, that doesn't really mean much.
And I will throw out another name. I know a lot of people don't think of him as somebody important, but you always need to have a striker like that on at least off the bench. Is Eder. You need Eder.
He's gonna say
no.
No. Right. Let me make it clear to all the Twitter people that follow you guys, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna be like, "Oh, all he talks bad is about Benfica players. All he wants is Porto players." I will make this very clear for all you guys, all you naive people out there. I do not want any Porto players on the national team. Not one.
Why?
Not one.
Why?
What?
If they're good, why not?
Não. Fazem a seleção do Sul. Fazem a seleção do Sul. Leave my players alone because every time they go there, they get hurt. We have a preseason that's coming up in a couple of weeks. We need to prepare for the season. I need my players well rested. Let them go rest. Let them go on vacation. I don't need Porto players on the national team.
All right, so make sure you don't celebrate when we win stuff. All right.
That what?
Just make sure you don't celebrate.
Say it again.
Don't celebrate anything if we win then, because if you're not willing to sacrifice your players for the national team, then you shouldn't celebrate at all if we win. That's part of it.
I don't want my players there. I never did. I never wanted Porto players on the national team.
Want them on friendlies? Never. But when you want to win, if you want to say if you want to celebrate, man, you gotta give away something. And well, I just don't agree with you. I agree totally in a friendly type of way. Man, if they're friendlies, I hate when Benfica players get called up to friendlies in the national team because they're just a nuisance. But when it comes to cups, man, when it comes to real tournaments, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. We've got to call up your best players. I don't care if they're if our 11 is 11 Porto players, or 11 Benfica players, or 11 Sporting players, or 11 Aves players, whatever. If they win us a tournament, I mean, if they're the best, they're the best. That's all that matters. I don't care where they come from. I make the case for a couple of Benfica rejects, obviously players that didn't get called up that I would like to see, but that's about it. I mean, it doesn't matter where the national team is made of. I mean, I know all Sporting fans love to brag about the 7 or 8 Sporting players that are in there. It doesn't matter where they come from. All it matters is that we win.
Exactly. I was just about to say, I don't think it doesn't matter where they come from. Right now, they're playing for a Nossa Seleção. It doesn't matter. They could come from Sporting, like Vião, or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're playing for Portugal.
And you can't be selfish in that sense. Obviously, in friendlies, I am selfish like that. I hate getting Benfica players called up. But, man, when it comes to game time, when it comes to the real deal, you just got to live with it. And if my Benfica player, let's say, Ruben Dias, for example, because he's the only one that got called up, scores the header that wins us the World Cup, but he ends up, I don't know, like breaking his foot when he's coming down. I mean, it's a risk I'm more than willing to take to win such a prized possession, and I think you should live with that too, Ron. But that's just my opinion.
Well, I have a different opinion. I don't want any Porto players on the national team. They have a season ready to be prepared. I don't want any Porto players there at all.
All right. Well, moving on now, because we just gotta get a couple questions, and then we'll wrap this up because we've gone way over the limit. But anyway, so I think we got this question from Felipe. He was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I think that the first question we should leave out for another opportunity because he's talking about predictions of where the big three will finish. I think it's way too early. But I'll throw this one out to you guys. Right now, given all the coach changes and all that, who do you think has the best possibility to overachieve this season in the Portuguese league?
Peter, it's way too early to even talk about that. We don't even know who's getting sold, who's coming in, who's going out. We don't know anybody.
Very early, I'd say Guimarães, just because of getting the coach
dude, they're not, their rosters are not even finalized. Come on, it's way too early. It's a question that it's impossible to answer right now. Who comes out stronger now? There's no chance. I mean, we don't even know. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 3 weeks?
Right. That's
Porto signed one guy. That's it. We only signed one guy so far.
I mean, last year we only signed one guy, so it wouldn't be a surprise.
But they're gonna sign more this year. I mean, and by the way, I know that Peter, didn't want to mention it, or maybe he overlooked it. But Porto is out of FIFA Fair Play.
We'll see how that goes.
What do you mean we'll see? It's already done. UEFA announced it.
Oh my God! We'll see how they go when they do the transfer window. Anyway, so since that was super early, according to Bruno, we'll just keep that one question and we'll get back with it later on. But Bruno ended up asking us, not you, a better Bruno, Lagarde. No, just kidding, Sportingista. don't want him to get upset at me for saying that. I was kidding. So he asks us who is in our opinion going to win the World Cup, and who makes it out of the group stages. I ended up giving you guys the group.
Should we go through the groups?
Yeah, I think we should go with the groups.
All right.
Everyone gets their, pick their two out.
I've got the groups in front of me. Do you want me to read them out?
Yeah, you can read them
Go
out.
for it.
All right, and so Group A is Russia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Uruguay. And I personally think it's going to be Russia and Uruguay to go through in that group.
But is that 1 and 2 like that? You're talking about 1 and 2?
Oh, first place Uruguay, second place Russia.
I'll agree with that one.
First place Uruguay, second place Egypt.
First place Uruguay, second place Russia.
Okay, so Group B is ours. Portugal, Spain, Morocco, and Iran. I'm going to go for Spain to finish first and Portugal second.
Portugal first, Spain second.
Watch out for Morocco, though.
Right, Portugal first, Morocco second. No, just kidding. Yeah, but that could happen. We'll see. I got Portugal first, though, and Spain second.
Danny?
Still the same. Spain first, Portugal second, and as Patrick said, watch out for Morocco. If one of the big teams, Portugal or Spain, slip, I think that they can go second, but Spain, Portugal.
I have Spain first, Morocco second.
Ooh.
God. This dude is a hater. I'm not having you on the podcast during the rest of the World Cup. No, you're out. You're out of here. I'm gonna give you the forget about it.
Listen, I have my opinion, and you both said it, or three of you guys said it, or two of you guys, 2 out of 3 said it. Watch out for Morocco. Morocco's a very good team. Don't sleep on Morocco. Do not sleep on them. And that defense, I am not confident in Portugal's defense, and especially I'm not confident in a goalkeeper that had his confidence shot 3 weeks ago at the Cup final, and now he's going to have to play the World Cup. Let him give up one frango, and you're going to see what's going to happen with this team.
Okay, Peter. All right, continue.
Okay,
on.
Group C, we have France.
Wait, hold on. What was Danny going to say?
Sorry, sorry, guys. I was just going to say, to be quite honest with you, I mean, don't get me wrong, Spain is Spain, but over the last couple of months, just kind of reading up on our opponents here, actually, because of the way we play, I mean, against Spain, I think it's not going to be much different. We're just going to sit back, and I think we can be okay, or at least get a draw. That I was actually more scared of Morocco, because I think Morocco will be okay to give up possession to us, and if they counter us with our slow back line, I don't know, but I'll still stay with my prediction: Spain first, Portugal second.
And
all right.
Morocco plays some very good football as well when they get into their attacking mood as well. So
don't sleep on them.
Possession football and that, so they're quite versatile.
Don't sleep on them.
Nobody's sleeping on them, Bruno.
Group C. We have France, Australia, Peru, Denmark. I will obviously go for France first. Peru are an interesting side as well, but I'm going to go for Denmark to finish second in this one.
I agree.
Okay. I got
same here.
Okay, I got France and Peru.
What?
Group D, we have Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, and Nigeria. I'm going to go for Croatia to top this and Argentina to squeeze through in second.
Okay, I got Croatia first, Nigeria second.
Danny?
This one, out of all of them, this was the hardest one for me to pick, but I'm going to go with Croatia first and Nigeria second as well.
I have Nigeria first, Croatia second.
Interesting.
No Ronaldo, no Messi.
Group E, Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica, and Serbia. I'll go for Brazil first, and I think Switzerland might squeeze in front of Serbia for second place.
How dare you? Brazil first, Serbia second.
Brazil first, Switzerland second for me.
So Peter has Serbia, Lisboa, and Benfica as
there's no
second place.
Benfica players there. Jovic and Zivkovic, I think. And Jovic isn't a Benfica player anymore. So
I have Brazil and Switzerland. Switzerland is going to be a tough team to break down.
don't forget they got Seferovic, main man Seferovic. If he scores against Brazil, I'm gonna running out now. Go on.
Group F. This was an interesting one. We obviously got Germany, who I think will be favourites for that, but then we've got Mexico, Sweden, and South Korea. I think Germany will top it, but second place, I'll go Mexico.
I don't see Mexico
What?
being in second place. Germany first, Mexico second by far. I don't think so.
What?
What is it because of the scandals?
Yeah, hold
The
on.
Mexican scandal.
Let's see what Danny says though first, and then we'll let Bruno go on.
Same. Germany first, Mexico second. That's what I'll go
Dude,
with.
please pass over whatever you guys are smoking because you guys are all high. Germany first, Sweden second. Mexico is going to be a disaster.
I don't know.
Alright.
I don't know. Mexico always have a controversial start to their tournaments and do all right.
Not this one.
They like a bit of
Herrera, you know that
shenanigans.
Herrera had to go back to Portugal to save his marriage, right?
Yeah, but he's all right.
Okay.
He'll get on the picture and run loads. It'll be fine.
All
He,
right.
he swore up and down that he was just taking pictures. That's all he was doing.
All right. Patrick, group G.
Group G.
Oh, God.
One close to my heart: Belgium, Panama, Tunisia, and England.
We.
I'm gonna go for England to win the group and Belgium second.
Belgium first, England second. If they don't get out of it in the group.
For me, England first, Belgium second.
I have Belgium first, England second, but do not sleep on Tunisia.
Thank you. Okay. We're on the
I
same page.
think England and Belgium both of them could be two very big disappointments. So they could crash out. But anyway, Group H. This one is very level. Poland, Senegal, Colombia, and Japan. I'm gonna go for Colombia to top this one and Senegal to finish second.
You're high.
Poland first, Senegal second.
What? Oh my God, another one.
Same here. I'm going with Colombia first and Senegal second.
Poland first, Colombia second, and Poland is going to be the surprise team of the tournament.
So I said Poland first, and you said what the hell with me? Like what?
You said Senegal, caralho.
I said Senegal in second because they're gonna beat.
No, and what I say? I said Poland first, Colombia second.
All right, so we still have more. We still have more to this question from Bruno. So I don't know. Like I'll give a Patrick like a quick shout here. But anyway, he asks if you like predictions who will be the next manager for Sporting.
For Sporting, I don't know. I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow at Sporting. But we know it's not going to be Sapint. I think Scolari's left. He said no, but the way he said no, he left it open just in case Bruno Carvalho leaves or something like that. But obviously, if they're saying that someone's going to come in as of next week, it'd be interesting. I don't know. I don't know who it could be, but I'd like it to be like a European name, someone that's been about recently at a few decent clubs and someone that can add something different. I don't know, like someone like Peter Bosch or something like that. I don't know. Sporting could go local. They always seem to go local anyway. They could go local.
It's just that it's a pipe dream to get anybody big to join them with all the instability.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If you were thinking Miguel Cardozo, he just signed with none today.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So obviously, this one I'm just going to answer myself because we already discussed it. He also asked any chance Benfica lands any Sporting players that terminate their contracts. I say yes. Everybody else said no. So there you go. There's also that.
Can I answer the question about the coach?
Yeah, because that's one of the final ones. We only got one more after, and it's for Patrick.
I honestly think it's going to be Inacio.
I think so too. I said that too. It's got to be. I think.
I hope not.
They don't have. I don't think they have. We'll close it off here, but I don't think they have any other option right now with the instability they got going on. Nobody's going to take over the club. Would Inácio be their manager at the start of the season? That's another. That's
Depends if,
discussion.
with the elections. Depends if
Yeah.
there's elections and all that other stuff.
But I think he's going to be appointed next week. Is he going to stay? We don't know. All right, so we just got this question from Jorge Rodrigues, and I know it's off topic, but I said I was gonna let Patrick answer, and I wasn't expecting us to run this long, but I'm gonna let Patrick answer because I'm a man of my word, and this has just got to do with European football and nowhere, not Portugal, not World Cup, but real quickly for you, Patrick. So first, do you think that Fekir is going to Liverpool? What are the chances of Lyon outperforming expectations this season in Liga and in Champions League? And if you think that Burnley can come to the Premier League season, and expectations for Burnley this coming Premier League season?
We'll start with Fekir. Obviously, everything looked like it was going to be done between them and between Lyon and Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool and or other sources bring up the fact that he's had 2 serious knee injuries, which should have been common knowledge to a team before they go into medical. Perhaps Liverpool were trying to drive his price down. I don't know where they stand on that, or whether they're thinking there's probably better options out there for the money that they're going to spend. But we'll see what he does at the World Cup, and should he have a good World Cup and that, then Liverpool potentially miss out. But I can understand Liverpool's risk because, as we know, Klopp is a manager who likes to play very fast attacking football with high press, and it's very full on. So when you pick up a guy who's potentially injury prone and someone who has to be managed carefully, it's not ideal to be blowing 50 odd million on someone like that. On to Lyon. You never know with Lyon because they're on that grade below a PSG where you can be, you essentially you're in the woods with a Monaco who are very strong and Marseille who are creeping up behind. So it's very difficult to say who gets the better out of all of them when Ligue 1 starts. In the Champions League, I think they could struggle, but they do have lots of interesting players anyway. So they could do well, they could struggle. It's one of those. And the last one was Burnley. I think Burnley might, in terms of what they managed to achieve this year, I think they could decline slightly. But they've got a good manager, Sean Dyche, who knows what the club is about. They've got, the guidelines are all there. I still think they'll have a solid season. Probably not as good as this season, but they'll still have a good season. I expect a lot of the other teams like the Southamptons and the Leicesters and the West Hams to come back a bit stronger and perhaps make life a bit more difficult for Burnley in the league table.
All right. So with that said, we usually don't take this type of questions, but I mean, if it got thrown out and I said you were going to answer, we allow that. All right. So with that said, I want to thank Patrick and Bruno for coming on. I also
wait. Before we go, who have we got to win the World Cup?
Right, I totally forgot about that. Who do you guys have?
Dark horses.
Yeah. So who starts? Patrick, you start since you brought it up.
Well, I'm going for Brazil. I think they've got a good manager and he's balanced things out now. So they're solid at the back. They've got lots of flair up top. I think they've got the right formula this time and they'll win it. And dark horses, I think Senegal, just to throw it towards Bruno, will surprise a few people and they'll be fun to watch.
I have Germany, not Portugal, obviously, and Serbia as the dark horse. Daniel, you want to?
Sure. I'll go with Brazil, basically for the same reasons Patrick mentioned. I think they got the right coach in charge of the team now, and they've definitely built a lot better for the World Cup. As my dark horse, I'll take a Nossa Seleção. Not that we're really a dark horse, but I'll just go with us.
Bruno?
Germany, France in the final. Germany wins. Dark horse, Poland.
Right. So there's your predictions. I'll make sure to come back to these once the World Cup's over.
Just a quick question, Peter, before you move on. Obviously, none of us know with Portugal, but just a quick take from you guys. What are your realistic? I mean, obviously, we all hope that Portugal could win, but what are your realistic chances? Or what would you consider a successful World Cup for an seleção? For me, I think anything less than the quarterfinals is failure, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was gonna say semifinals.
Yeah, I think semi-finals is a good thing to hit for any team. Quarterfinals is acceptable. Anything behind the quarterfinals is probably a failure. I think Portugal could potentially reach the quarterfinals and meet France, and that's when I think they're going to bomb out.
Well, meanwhile, we know that, Bruno, your expectations are for us to go on in the group stage, right?
No, the question was what would be considered a success. I think considered a success would be semifinals. I don't even think quarterfinals because, again, most people are picking Portugal to get out of the group. I'm one of the guys that I don't think that they'll get out of the group. So I think that semifinals, less than semifinals is not a very good tournament. Now this was brought up in the past. Would how do I say this? Would the national team be considered like would there be a coaching change if they don't make the semifinals or the quarterfinals? I would go as far as that. That's very radical to do something like that. I think there is a plan. Even if they even if they crash out at group stage, I don't think you should make a coaching change. I don't think it's necessary.
Definitely have to think about it, though.
No, I don't think you do. I think there's a plan in order. I think the plan is good. I think what they're doing right now with the national team, going through. Well, not the youth levels because the youth levels has been a disgrace. But U21s. That changeover or the call ups from U21 to national team, I think it's been pretty good. I think the production of the players or the development of the players has been pretty good. I don't think that there should be a coaching change if they don't hit at least the quarterfinals. My opinion.
All right. So, yeah. Daniel, I'm expecting questions next week. By the way, man, you gotta hook us up with those questions. So with that said, I'm just gonna remind everybody, even though it's in the end, I'm not sure if everyone has listened through all of this, but anyway, don't forget that after the World Cup, most likely after the World Cup, you're gonna have a little bit of a not a mini podcast. I mean, kinda, I guess, with me and Patrick to talk over some news and just rumors and all that, which should be pretty interesting. With that said, I want to thank Patrick and Bruno for coming on. I'm guessing those guys, everybody has Spain to win the first game. I have Portugal. Just say that.
I say tie 1-1.
Okay. Yeah, Patrick, you think Portugal wins?
I don't know. I think Spain might nick it.
Okay. And Bruno thinks they're going to win for sure. So.
Actually, I do think that Spain will win. I think Portugal will draw against Morocco, and then they won't get enough goals against Iran, and they will crash out. They will fall short.
Okay. Well, I picked Portugal to win the game. So, anyway, with that said, it doesn't matter the scoreline. It just matters that we win. With that said, for the third time, but this is the final time, thanking everybody for being on the podcast. Thank everybody for listening. Daniel, I thought you did really good. Hope to have you on really soon again. Keep up the questions, man, because they're really appreciated and all the feedback is important. You need more people like you.
Thanks a lot for having me on, and it was a pleasure talking with you guys. Guess that the only thing left to say is Forza Portugal, and enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Yeah, so
you too, man.
Good luck to Portugal in the World Cup. We'll be rooting for you, except Bruno, because Bruno I don't really care. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode next week.